Close your eyes for a moment. Forget the world you know. Forget the hum of computers. Forget the glare of screens. Imagine instead the soft rustle of silk and the gentle clatter of 1,000 distant workshops. The air is not filled with the scent of exhaust, the rich aroma of cardamom, roasting lamb on spits, blooming jasmine in courtyards. We are standing on a dusty road. The date is somewhere around the year 825. Before us rises a city unlike any other on earth. Its walls are immense, perfectly circular, a testament to order and grandeur. Why was Baghdad called the center of the world? It was not mere hyperbole. It was a simple statement of fact, born from geography, ambition, intellectual gravity. The Caliph al-Mansur did not choose its location by chance. He picked a strategic spot on the banks of the mighty Tigris River, a place at the crossroads of great caravan routes. To the east, Persia, India, China. To the west, Syria, Egypt, the Mediterranean. Baghdad became the hinge of global trade, a nexus connecting continents and cultures. At the very heart of Baghdad's intellectual life stood an institution with a simple yet profound name, the Beit al-Hikmah, or the House of Wisdom. This was not merely a library as we might understand it today. It was a dynamic, living center of scholarship, a combination of academy, translation bureau, research institute, academy, translation bureau, research institute. Founded in the early 9th century by the Caliph al-Ma'mun, it became the engine that powered the Islamic Golden Age. Its mission was ambitious and noble, to gather all of the world's significant knowledge under one roof, translate it into Arabic, and then build upon it with new discoveries. Imagine walking through its halls. The shelves were filled not just with Arabic texts, but with scrolls and manuscripts from every great civilization. Greek, Persian, Indian, Chinese, all side by side. This monumental translation movement saved countless ancient texts from being lost and made them accessible to a new generation of thinkers. The House of Wisdom was more than a repository. It was a laboratory for creating new knowledge. It housed observatories, laboratories, and workshops for engineers and cartographers, scholars testing, critiquing, and extending knowledge. It was this spirit of critical inquiry and innovation that allowed Baghdad to become a beacon of science and philosophy, illuminating a world that elsewhere was passing through its dark ages. The incredible intellectual flowering of Baghdad would have been impossible without a small army of dedicated, brilliant, often unsung translators. They were the bridge between worlds. One of the most important among them was Hunayn ibn Ishaq. Fluent in Syriac, Greek, and Arabic, he possessed deep subject knowledge, especially in medicine. He knew that literal word-for-word translations were often meaningless. He sought the true essence of the text. He gathered multiple copies, traveled for the best manuscripts, compared them, corrected errors, and then translated. He established a workshop, a factory of knowledge, training his son, nephew, and students in rigorous techniques. They translated over 100 of Galina Urtiem's medical treatises into Arabic, clear, precise, and elegant, becoming standard texts across the Islamic world. Later retranslated into Latin, these works influenced European medicine for centuries. This grand project was fueled by the caliphs, who valued knowledge, sometimes lavishly rewarding translators. Legend says Al-Ma'mun paid Hunayn the weight of books in gold, possibly apocryphal, but telling about the value placed on knowledge. This patronage created a virtuous cycle. More texts, more discovery, more prestige, and ideas that radiated outward. The work of these translators revitalized ancient knowledge and laid foundations for later breakthroughs across continents. Within the fertile environment of the House of Wisdom, geniuses flourished. Perhaps none had a more lasting impact than Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi, a true polymath, mathematician, astronomer, and geographer, working in early 9th century Baghdad. He wrote the compendious book on calculation by completion and balancing. From the title Al-Jabr, we derive our modern word algebra. He presented a systematic way to solve linear and quadratic equations. He made the abstract practical. For inheritance, land division, and trade, he adopted numeral methods from India, including the revolutionary concept of zero, and introduced them to the Arab world. His book was translated into Latin, and Al-Khwarizmi eventually gave us the word algorithm. Around the same time worked the three Banu Musa brothers, Muhammad, Ahmad, and Al-Hassan. They loved mechanics and wrote the Book of Ingenious Devices, describing more than 100 machines, self-operating fountains, automata, trick jugs, and feedback mechanisms. These showed automatic controls, governors, and crankshafts, ideas unseen in Europe for centuries. Their playful, practical spirit captured the creativity of Baghdad's scientific community. The Golden Age was also a golden age for medicine. Baghdad's hospitals, the Bimaristans, were models, organized wards, outpatient clinics, pharmacies, and libraries, offering care to all. From this environment emerged Abu Bakr al-Razi, Razes, a true empiricist. A famed story: he hung meat in neighborhoods to see which decayed slowest, choosing the cleanest site for a hospital. He wrote over 200 books, including Al-Hawi, a vast medical encyclopedia compiling Greek and other knowledge with his clinical observations. Ibn Sina, Avicenna, wrote The Canon of Medicine, a logical, comprehensive, authoritative medical codex. The canon covered anatomy, pharmacology, diet, and climate, used in universities for centuries. Hospitals were treatment centers and medical schools. Students learned at patients' bedsides. They understood contagious disease and practiced quarantine. They developed advanced surgical techniques and used anesthetics derived from opium and herbal preparations. They emphasized psychological well-being and the mind-body connection. The work of Al-Razi and Ibn Sina laid foundations for clinical medicine that influenced global healthcare for a millennium. To understand Baghdad's lifeblood, leave the House of Wisdom and wander into the souks. The souks were vibrant, chaotic, exhilarating, the city's heart. Each trade had its own street: perfumers, coppersmiths, weavers. Walk the street of the perfumers and be enveloped by frankincense, musk, and rosewater. The rhythmic hammering of coppersmiths shaped lanterns and gleaming trays. Cloth markets were a riot of color: silk from China, Egyptian linen, Persian brocades, spice pyramids rose, saffron, cinnamon, cloves, pepper, their scents mingling in warm air. Merchants might haggle in 3 languages, closing deals that began on ships in the Indian Ocean. Storytellers spun Sinbad and Scheherazade tales, animated voices rising above the din. The souks were a theater of daily life, artisans, apprentices, customers, and inspectors all interacting. Weavers created carpets with motifs so complex they seemed to contain worlds. Bookbinders, glassmakers, and other artisans practiced exquisite, generational craftsmanship. Beyond goods, the souks were social networks: news, gossip, business, friendship. Life in Baghdadi Golden Age was a tapestry of food, music, poetry, and community. Cuisine reflected Persian, Arab, and Indian traditions. Elaborate dishes for the wealthy and street vendors alike. Savory stews with saffron and pomegranate. Delicate pistachio pastries drizzled with honey, roasted meats spiced richly. Dining was communal, hospitality and friendship expressed through food. Music and poetry were the soul. Court patronage fostered musicians like Ishaq al-Mawsili and Ziryab, influencing music as far away as Spain. Poetry threaded public and private life. Love, nature, philosophy recited in marketplaces and salons. Homes were built around private courtyards with fountains, private oases within the city. Mosques were not only for worship, but for learning and community gathering. Public bathhouses were social hubs where people met, relaxed, and sometimes did business. Majalis, literary salons, were crucibles of creativity, where debates refined ideas and works were shared. Calligraphers, artists, and scholars gathered. Friendship and intellectual companionship prized. This culture of fellowship, arts, and good food created a remarkably rich quality of life, a city that nurtured the human spirit in all its dimensions. Though the Golden Walls are long gone, Baghdad's legacy is woven into the modern world. Its influence is so profound we often fail to recognize its origins. Every time a student solves for X, they use a system perfected by Al-Khwarizmi. Every time a doctor consults a medical text, they follow paths blazed by Al-Razi and Ibn Sina. The modern hospital and university owe a debt to Baghdad's pioneering institutions. The intellectual fire lit in Baghdad spread across the globe. Greek texts, Persian texts, Indian texts were translated into Arabic, and then retranslated into Latin in Toledo and Sicily, fueling the Renaissance. Scholars in Paris, Bologna, and Oxford studied Avicenna and Averroes, engaging ideas born in Baghdad. The method, experimentation, observation, peer review, was championed by thinkers from the Islamic world. Baghdad did not just preserve knowledge, it transformed it and passed the torch to humanity. From Scheherazade to the lute, distillation, and the merchant's sack, Baghdad's echoes are hidden in plain sight. The forgotten glory of Baghdad is an enduring inspiration, a reminder of our shared human potential.